right. Thank you, Linda Marie. Well, again, welcome everyone to this year's annual meeting, SIBA's annual meeting for 2024. I want to thank you for working with us as we decided collectively that it was best to, in light of the hurricanes and the impact on many of us and many of our stores, we wanted to be respectful. And we decided to move the meeting. So we thank you for the quick adjustment on that. Linda Marie and SIBA team, thank you so much for working with stores, particularly while we were all going through, and you were personally going through, dealing with your own hurricane issues. So thank you guys for helping everyone and keeping the SIBA family on point and giving them the resources that they needed. Before we get started, I wanted to introduce and welcome our new members, our new board members. But before we do that, of course, returning to your board in 2025 will be myself, Bunny Hilliard. If you could kind of raise your hand, do a quick wave. Crystal Dandridge will be returning as well. Falling off this year as she served both of her terms is going to be Janet Geddes from Abbott Bookshop, which we of course will miss her. But thank you so much for serving your terms. We appreciate everything, as well as Jamie Rogers Southern, if she is on, who was past president and stayed on as an advisor more or less for this year. Welcoming to our new board for 2025 is going to be Raina Nielsen. Raina is, she began her book selling career in Florida and then moved to Louisiana in 2005, and she spent a decade as a bookseller in New Orleans. Her current position is event specialist at Blue Cypress Books. And then we have Christina Nasty, who is director of events and programming at Books and Books in Coral Gables, Florida. She programs and helps to market over 600 events a year. And then we have Melissa Taylor. Melissa is a bookseller with over 20 years of industry experience, and she's currently the co-owner of eShaver Bookseller. So welcome to our new board members. Thank you so much. That's one of the things we worked on this year, was expanding the board to give more diversity, more of a representation of what SIBA entails. So I'm glad that we went from 5 to 7. It's great to have you guys on board. So thank you so much. Some of the other things we worked on in 2024, the board worked very diligently in finalizing what we could for the new bylaws. Of course, there's still a little work to be done. So your bylaws and some of the things that were, of course, initiated was as far as new membership and what that looks like, and changing novel models and inclusive, trying to be more inclusive and representative of what SIBA truly entails. And again, including an expansion of the board, so that does reflect our membership. Going forward for 2025, the biggest thing on the slate for us is now updating the governance laws, which is again another task that we have to take on, and one that we want to make sure that we are in line with everything and keeping the organization afloat. So that is our goal, one of our biggest goals for the upcoming year. Of course, there's still going to be more work to do, but that's the biggest goal for 2025. Now I want to pass off to, of course, your executive director, Linda Marie, to kind of give us a SIBA update on where we are organizationally.
Thank you, Julia. Before I discuss SIBA's work in 2024, I wanted to bring attention to an aspect of SIBA's membership that is particularly strong and so important now and always, which is our community. We have such a supportive community among our stores, our industry partners, and authors. Many of you have shared that this is what sustains you when you face challenges. Challenges like book bans and curation pushback that affects your business, including book fairs and author visits, cash flow concerns that feel overwhelming, recovery from a weather event that has impacted your store and community, or dealing with the emotional labor that comes with engaging customers around politics or other thorny issues. And it's so helpful to have folks to turn to who know what you're going through, have been there themselves, and might even offer you solid tips to deal with it, or simply a hug and encouraging words. In the American Independent Book Business Alliance's newsletter yesterday, they mentioned this idea of generous community. And this was in reference to their Shop Indie holiday promotion, which encourages giving back to nonprofits, neighbors, and other initiatives that we care about. And they go on to say, while every act of generosity counts, when we give where we live, the generosity multiplies. And I really love that expression. When we give where we live, the generosity multiplies. And the generosity of our community, which is expressed in the many ways we help each other by providing expertise, leading each other to resources, or celebrating accomplishments, is what saves us from despair and can help us do more than simply sustain our work and businesses. It can energize us to thrive and be our best selves. So we, SIBA, our staff and board, want to be there for you when you need us and when you want to share and amplify your victories too. So please keep in touch with us and let us know when you need help or when you want to brag a bit about something great that you helped make happen at your store in your community. So on this same theme of generous community, I want to thank the SIBA staff for all they do year round, but especially their above and beyond work this fall. We had our first opportunity this year to activate our emergency plan for the sudden loss of the executive director when Asheville suffered catastrophic damage due to a hurricane. So my home was without power, including internet, for 12 days. And after 3 days of being completely cut off from the world outside my neighborhood, I could finally communicate with the staff and board by text from a church parking lot a few miles down the road where a Verizon truck was providing internet and charging stations for locals. So I did my best, but I was not able to communicate reliably or even that well because I was dealing with a traumatic situation and living rough. And the staff stepped up to minimize what I had to do so I could focus on personal recovery of my home and neighborhood community. And I was certainly not alone in this way. Many booksellers from Florida up through Virginia were in the path of 2 hurricanes and seriously affected. So during this time, the SIBA staff, led by Nikki Leone and assisted by Candace Huber, created a hub on our site so that the affected stores could share their status, let us and other stores and industry partners know what they needed, and whom to communicate with at the store. The SIBA staff and I, when I was back with internet and phone, reached out to stores personally to check in and see how we could help them to resources that might be helpful to their recovery. We were contacted by bookstores in Central and Eastern North Carolina who wanted to assist their colleagues in the Western part of the state, and we were able to share that information with them so that they could piggyback on our efforts and help stores in the ways they needed help. And we're continuing this effort by asking our members to update emergency information and press contacts in the event of a future occurrence, which is quite likely to happen in our region. So all of what happened during this time is an example of generous community, of giving where we live, in this sense professionally, but also personally. So stores reaching out to other stores, staff helping each other, publisher partners, the press, and Bink sending offers of assistance and hope. And it really means everything. So, okay, so now I'm going to do an abrupt transition to other business, which is also important. Financially, SIBA is in great shape. Since 2022, our assets have increased by 30%. We continue to see excellent publisher support for our programming, including our March Madness event series, which takes place across our territory, our Indie Press Social, which took place this year in Louisville, Kentucky, and our New Voices, New Rooms conference. SIBA has achieved financial stability that allowed us to expand the number of bookseller scholarships we offered to our annual New Voices, New Rooms conference, and also for other professional development, including sponsoring the Professional Bookseller School and offering reimbursement for coursework. We also sponsor a SIBA bookseller to travel to international conferences in Books Across Borders. And we're in a much better position than in the past to weather future financial challenges and general economic instability. In our in-person conferences in partnership with NABA, despite soaring hotel costs and subsidizing bookseller attendance to cover the cost of most of the food and beverage, we have successfully operated without financial setback. Overall feedback from booksellers and our industry partners has been extremely positive. And I am thrilled to announce that our 2025 NVNR conference will be in Atlanta, Georgia. So Atlanta has an extraordinary literary culture with so many great bookstores to visit and learn from. We'll be working with Atlanta booksellers as we plan the conference so we can showcase what Atlanta has to offer to our NABA colleagues in the North and to SIBA booksellers who have not yet visited Atlanta and to our industry partners. We're still working on the dates and the location within Atlanta, but we hope to have that finalized soon. And next week, I'll be doing site visits of hotels. We expanded our team this year to include a sales coordinator, Andy Richardson, who is working to increase and diversify our revenue streams to support our efforts and membership benefits. One of the ways we've diversified this year is partnering with book festivals across the South to promote their events in our consumer-facing platform and newsletter, the Southern Bookseller Review. We connect our readers, which are our bookstore customers, with these festivals, which supports literary tourism across our region. All the books promoted in the Southern Bookseller Review click through to purchase at our member stores, and we also achieve a growing visibility of our stores across the territory. Our membership has almost doubled in 10 years, and I need to call out our membership coordinator, Candace Huber, for their tireless outreach to members, recruiting, onboarding, and serving new members. They'll speak in a moment more about that in detail. Overall, we've seen higher engagement from our members in our programming, in the number of stores participating in our summer and holiday catalog, and in our in-person programming at our Indie Press Social, March Madness series of events, and at the New Voices New Rooms conference. We have seen a drop-off in engagement in our virtual programming and are pivoting most efforts into in-persons to reflect what our members are seeking. The SIBA staff met virtually in October to discuss 2025 initiatives, and we'll be sharing more about that in December. So that is it for me, and I'm going to turn things over to Candace now to fill you in on membership updates.
Hi, everybody. I am Candace Huber, your membership and social media coordinator, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing on the membership side and on the social media side. So right now we have 226 active members, which is about a 20% growth since last year, since 2023. Our membership is still growing. We've had 46 new members join us just this year in 2024. And I am reaching out to a lot of people. I have more than 60 stores on my potential members list right now to recruit. So I am hoping to get most of those into SIBA's membership. And there are 40 stores who are currently inactive that I'm also working to get them back active. So that's about 100 stores or more that are on my list to hopefully add to our membership. So that being said, the goal for membership for next year is to get SIBA to 300 members by the end of 2025. And I think hopefully we'll be able to do that. And also just some really fun statistics for our members by state. We have the most members in North Carolina. We have 47 bookstore members in North Carolina, and we have the least members in Mississippi. We only have 5. So we have 45 members in Georgia, 39 in Florida, 22 in South Carolina, 20 in Virginia, 12 in Louisiana, 11 in Alabama and Tennessee, 8 in Arkansas, 6 in Kentucky, and then 5 in Mississippi. So one of my goals too is to work on that western part of our territory and try to get some more folks in from there. And I know a lot of folks generally ask about identity information, like how many BIPOC owned or disabled owned or veteran owned stores we have. And at the moment, we don't have enough data on store identity. We generally haven't asked for that except for on the census. So if folks fill that out on the census, we have it. And if not, we don't. So I don't have an exact number for you on those kinds of identity stuff with stores. Also, I want to talk about some of the achievements. We had the highest percentage of members like ever in SIBA history vote in our recent board election. So thank y'all for doing that. Also, as Linda Marie talked about, Nikki and I created a hub on SIBAweb.com to support stores hit by hurricanes Helene and Milton. And we had resources in there. We had how folks can donate to individual store fundraisers and to bank. We included articles in the newsletter as well, and for the industry and in the Southern Bookseller Review on how folks can help stores, and also on a more positive note, what our stores have been doing for their communities during this time as well. We're also working on mapping out all of our member stores on a digital map so that we can more quickly identify and reach out to stores who are in potential disaster zones. And we are collecting store emergency contact information so SIBA can more efficiently check in when something happens. So please fill that out for us. I'll drop all these links in the chat right after I'm done talking because I'm going to talk about a few things. So we also updated the membership brochure, which has all of SIBA benefits in there. You can check that out. And we implemented a Banned Books Week toolkit. That was very highly successful. It had a huge amount of engagement, and I hope it was useful to the stores who used it. We're working on developing more of those types of toolkits for our members that include things like link to social media assets that I create for you and other marketing assets, as well as flyers and bookmarks and those types of things you can use for in-store as well. So look for more of those toolkits. And we've also seen an increase in engagement on social media. So I want to talk about that just a little bit. So we did social media scavenger hunts this year. It was the first year we've done those, and they were wildly successful. I'm so happy and proud of that. And we really were able to increase social media engagement for participating stores. A lot of stores that participated got a lot of new followers. And also in creating community among participating stores. We actually had stores find out about other stores that they didn't know about through the scavenger hunt. So that was really cool. We plan to do more of those next year. So please send me an email if you want to participate in our social media scavenger hunts. They're awesome. Our next one coming up is going to be for the Southern Book Prize winner announcement. So let me know if you want to participate in that. Our store spotlights are always very well received as well. So I want to spotlight more stores. That's one of my goals in 2025. So I need y'all to fill out our bookstore profile in order to be spotlighted. So please do that. It really increases your store's visibility in the industry and with consumers, because we post it in the newsletter, on social media, and for SIBA and the Southern Bookseller Review. So it gets both to the industry and to consumers when we do that, when we spotlight your store. So I want to do more of that. And then I also am trying to make social media a resource for current members, but also in 2025, I want to make it more of a recruitment tool as well for potential members. I want everyone to see how awesome SIBA is. So I'm also going to drop in the chat our tags on social media so that you can follow us, because I want everybody to follow us on social media. And also members asked for a way to keep in touch all throughout the year. So we do have our Discord server. I want to mention that as well. I'm going to drop all these links again in the chat. So follow us on social media, join the Discord server, give us your emergency contact information, and fill out that bookstore profile so I can spotlight you. And I think that's about it. So thank y'all very much. I'm so happy to be your member coordinator, and reach out to me anytime if you need anything. And I'm going to turn it over to Nikki.
Well, I'm tired now. Okay, so yeah, I am your communications person for SIBA. I am basically responsible for sending out all of SIBA's official communications for SIBA members. That mostly means SIBA's newsletters. And I do want to mention real quick about SIBA's weekly newsletter, which comes out Thursdays at 4 p.m. and is probably actually in your all's inboxes right now, even as we're talking. And I wanted to make sure people knew that at the top of that newsletter, that weekly newsletter, we always put a series of deadlines and action items that are the things that we think are very, very important that we don't want you to miss. So even if you don't read the rest of the newsletter, you should at least look at that very top of the newsletter to see what's coming up. And we also include information about upcoming SIBA programs, news about member stores, and links to industry tools that we think would be helpful to you. For example, this week, in this week's newsletter, Candace, wearing their Tubby and Coos hat, had created a marketing document for the holiday, a November-December marketing plan, and gave us a copy of that to share with the rest of SIBA membership. It's got links to assets. It sort of corrals all of these, Small Business Saturday and whatnot links that you've been getting from a million different places. It's all on one sheet, makes it very convenient. So that's in this week's newsletter. And if you blow off the newsletter for whatever very good reasons, I'm sure you have, there's also on the following Monday, Linda Marie always sends what we call our Monday morning coffee recap letter about how things are going for her and for SIBA. And she always pulls out what a couple bullet points of the most important things that were in last week's newsletter. So read the SIBA newsletter on Thursdays. But mostly what I wanted to talk to you about is the Southern Bookseller Review, which is the other newsletter SIBA sends out. And it's targeted to readers, basically to bookstore customers. It features book reviews by SIBA booksellers. Its purpose is to raise the visibility of SIBA bookstores with readers and to underscore them as trustworthy places to go for book recommendations, no matter what your reading tastes. And also to raise the visibility of our member stores within the book industry, which sometimes pigeonholes Southern booksellers as mostly a market for Southern literature and Southern fiction. And so SBR seeks to challenge that preconception, which we do by sharing reviews on social media and tagging both the store and the publisher and sometimes the author, and highlighting the books that are receiving a lot of SIBA bookseller attention via those Read This Next lists that you see coming through monthly and weekly book buzz features, all of which is really to demonstrate to publishers when indie booksellers are championing their books. So SBR publishes between 10 and 20 reviews every week on its website. 7 to a dozen or so of those go into the newsletter that gets sent out. And you can see a list of the stores with reviews in SIBA's weekly book industry newsletter every week. But there are now about 90 stores that have reviews at the Southern Bookseller Review, and they're from all 11 states in SIBA's territory. The circulation for it has also grown. It's at 7,500 non-bouncing emails, which is a 12% growth rate since the beginning of the year. And its open rates are high. Its open rates range from about 40 to 45%. Its clicking rates are very high, ranges between 35 to 45%. During some parts of the year, like especially between November and January, that actually goes up to around 60% because people are voting for their Southern Book Prize favorites. And so the newsletters tend to get a lot of clicks. But in general, SBR circulation shows a steady organic growth, even without the benefit of like any subscriber campaigns. 7,500 subscribers, somebody asked. So we've had a couple milestones. We're approaching our five-year anniversary. That seems amazing to me that we're at that point. By the end of this month, SBR will have published 2,500 reviews from SIBA booksellers. Since its inception, traffic has grown on the website from about 23 to 2,500 visitors to over between 10 and 11,000 visitors per month. And I'm not exactly sure I would call this a milestone, but one of the most active areas of growth is under what we call our Decide for Yourself initiative, which features bookseller reviews of books that appear on PEN America's banned books lists and indices. We've been doing Decide for Yourself for a year and a half. We featured 80 different books, and we give these dedicated social media attention, and they tend to have high engagement from readers on the SBR website. So for 2025, I think we have a couple challenges. One is subscriber growth. I mean, I think SBR's potential audience is as great as the potential customer base for all of our member stores. So next year, this coming year, we're going to do our very first ever subscriber campaign to try to reach that goal. We'd also like to see more bookstore participation in SBR. SIBA's membership, as you heard, it's growing fantastically. It's growing in terms of numbers, but also in terms of kinds of business models. And we want to make sure that the books that the Southern Bookseller Review features are representative of what all SIBA members read and support. So in 2025, we'll be hosting a dedicated seminar for stores on the ways that we can use SBR for their own benefit, their store's benefit. So that's, pretty much all I have to say about SBR. I guess, Julia, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you all, SIBA team, for the amazing updates, the excitement. I hope everyone's as excited about 2025 as I am. I think there's some great things in the horizon. One of the things that I would love to see, yes, we had record-breaking numbers in voting and things of that nature, but we still are low. As far as I'm concerned, I have big high hopes that we're just going to hit 100% of participation in everything we do. So just if you're not getting emails or you feel like you're not getting emails, check your spam. If you're not finding anything there, please just reach out to the SIBA team to make sure you are on the email list, because we want to make sure there's so many great things that are coming out and we don't want you to miss anything. And I think that's it as far as what we have to present. So we want to open the floor to our members. If there is any questions you would like to answer, if you would like to ask, if you can just have your hand raised, or if you're not comfortable speaking on camera, you can go ahead and put a question in the chat and we'll be happy to try and address it here. But yeah. We're going to keep, does anybody have any questions? Are you seeing any hand raised, team? Yes, Candace, I agree. Since we are now on the southern side, everybody should be at New Voices New Room. And I will say it is an amazing conference to be at. So if you have not attended, definitely attend. Is anybody seeing any hands raised? Did we do that good of a job? Let's see. I think I saw a question pop up.
We do have a question about emails. Nikki, can you answer that one about how SIBA emails are, why they're involved with e-blasts? We have figured out a different way to respond to people who want to be off of those emails.
Yes, it is true that if you subscribe to SIBA's newsletter, you're also subscribing to SIBA's e-blasts. I know it seems like that we get inundated, that people get inundated with them. We send about 3 or 4 a week on average, I think. And it is important to SIBA to have that relationship with publishers. They find it very valuable in terms of getting their books in front of SIBA booksellers. If you don't want to receive those e-blasts, you can unsubscribe from the newsletter, but not unsubscribe from Linda Marie's morning letter, which comes from a different email address. And that would be one way to avoid receiving them. But we hope that you'll at least look at those e-blasts, because those are publishers who are actively interested in the SIBA, in the Southern market and the Southern booksellers promoting their books.
There's a couple more questions in there. I'm not sure.
I'll answer the question about March Madness events. We are right now looking to schedule 9 of them, and they're going to be located in at least 8 states in our territory. We had a form through which booksellers could submit to be hosts. And so we're now looking at that and figuring out where they'll be. And we should be announcing the host bookstores in the next couple weeks.
There's another question in there on New Voices in the Room. Do we know which month?
We are still looking for 2025. We're still looking to have it in August.
I guess as we're waiting for some to make sure we're getting all the questions in, Linda Marie, you have any final thoughts? Any? Oh, I do see another hand raised. Looks like
I just,
Kelly.
yeah, I just want to applaud the board for their efforts, and really want to congratulate. I really want to acknowledge and cheer the expansion of the board. I think that's something that's been needed for a long time, and I think that was a fantastic decision. So I just want to acknowledge that. I know these decisions aren't easy and they take a really long time to work into all of the paperwork that goes behind it. So I think it's great. So thanks
Thank
for
you,
that
Kelly.
as a member.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
There was a question or a comment from one bookseller about considering the idea that the comment is, bear in mind that Southern bookstores are not necessarily Southern because of the impact of snowbird customer bases. We're in Sarasota, Florida, but our customers are actually from Boston, New York, and Washington, and are not interested in traditional Southern books. So that needs to be considered by SIBA. And as someone who's involved in sales and promotion along with Andy, we really strive to speak with publisher partners about this. And the Southern Bookseller Review also highlights that the tastes of our booksellers are not bound by geography, that they love books they and their customers are seeking books that are not necessarily set or written by, set in the South or written by authors in the South. So it is one of our goals always. And also in our holiday and summer catalogs, to make sure we have a representation of titles and authors that represent, national and international tastes as well.
I do see Sarah Pishko, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, has her hand raised.
Yes. I second that comment about the Southern books. I know that, as you said, publishers have a lot to do with it, but I'm on the upper fringe of the SIBA, and a lot of the books just have no market where I am.
Christina?
So where are you, Sarah? Because you said where you are. Where are you?
Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay, just
And
curious.
just above the North Carolina line, sort of.
Okay.
Southeast corner, coastal.
Well, I just wanted to say how pleased I am to be here and how eager I am to help in any way, shape, or form. And just applause. The Southern Bookseller Review looks really good. Who designed it? It looks really nice.
That would be Nikki.
Nikki, it looks great.
Actually, the design is SP, our website person, did the actual design of it.
Really nice, really clean, really beautiful, beautiful looking. Do you have advertisers on here? Do the publishers advertise, or how does that work?
Yes, publishers can advertise in SBR. That I know it was part of the initiative, part of the partnership with book festivals. A lot of them tend to advertise this year in SBR to reach, hopefully, customers or people to come to their festivals. But that's, Andy and Linda Marie's. I just run the ads. They deal with them. Booking them.
Well, one of our favorite parts of the Southern Bookseller Review, at least for me, is the book buzz that features. It can feature 3 or more reviews by SIBA booksellers, and so that's always my to be read pile is that. And publishers will, once we see that a book has received that many reviews from booksellers, we do reach out to publishers to see if they want to amplify that to other SIBA booksellers and also to customers. So we we actively seek promotions within the Southern Bookseller Review, but the centerpiece of it are SIBA bookseller reviews that are actually unpaid. You know, they're just we just want to highlight their tastes, which again, we feature many titles that are not necessarily written by Southern authors or take place in the South. And as you can see, looking at it, that it reflects so many tastes there.
And just to build on that, we do get frequent requests from publishers and authors about having new books reviewed in the Southern Bookseller Review, which I then send them to Linda Marie and Andy and suggest that they purchase an e-blast because booksellers don't review books that they haven't read, right? You know, I mean, that is the one thing that you can count on. So I tell them it's important to get those books into the hands of SIBA booksellers and get them to write the reviews.
One more question. Sorry, I'm curious about a lot of things. How do you interact with shelf awareness? If you do.
In what way, Christina?
Just, do you do anything with them or?
Well, they do attend, we consider them an important publisher partner. And they do attend our conferences, and we meet with them throughout the year. They're not really involved with our newsletters or other forms of communications though, but when they want to reach SIBA booksellers, we want to make sure that we can help facilitate that.
And then I'm curious about how many SIBA bookstores carry books in Spanish? And I don't know if anyone knows the answer, like specifically, but I'm curious if there are Spanish language communities that they're serving and if they carry books in Spanish.
I know I carry both. I carry multiple languages. I do Spanish and dual, Spanish to English and just different languages in general.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I'll be back to the chairs.
Yeah, I can't see the hand raising thing, but we carry Spanish language books as well in Sarasota, Florida. Not a huge quantity of them, but we have them available for order because we're very active with a Spanish language theater here called Crearte Latino. And our bookstore started a Spanish language only book club maybe 8 or 10 years ago, and it's still running, and it's quite popular. And we hold Spanish language only events in our store, even though we're not really Hispanic oriented in that way.
Thank you.
Can I go? Can I go? Sorry, I don't want to like be called on, but
Yes, go ahead.
okay. Hi. Hi, my name is Lucy. I am the owner of Blinking Owl Books in Fort Myers, Florida. So, hi, Georgia in Sarasota. I haven't been to bookstore in a while, but it's always nice to see you. I tend to come to these things and say this a lot, but I think it's really important to remember. I am just always so excited to be in community with all of you. I'm so proud to be a member of SIBA. I learn how to be a better bookseller all the time from all of you. So thank you for all of the things you post on social media, all of the newsletters you send out. It's really great to be able to learn from such incredible booksellers. So thank you for all the work you do.
Thank you, Lucille. Doing a quick look, I think that might be everything. Any final thoughts, Linda Marie, before I close it out?
Well, I did think it is really important for us to hear from you. So if you have questions that you didn't ask or something occurs to you after this meeting, please reach out to us so we can answer your questions and talk about it.
Yes, your board is always wanting to hear from you, as well as the SIBA team. All of our email addresses can be found on the website, or you can get through us through Linda Marie. We want to hear from you. This is a community and we want to support everyone. So I think I will give you guys a few minutes back of your day. I just want to thank you guys. We will officially adjourn around 4:45. Thank you again. Again, I'm looking forward to 2025 and thanks for taking time out your day. Everyone, please get some rest as we head for the holiday season.